Now let's talk about couplers. Organs have couplers. Basically, what a coupler does is connect different keys on the keyboard together. So let's just say we're playing a flute 8-foot. So when you press middle C down, you're going to get a flute with an 8-foot pitch of C. Now if you turn on swell 4, when you play this 8-foot flute, it's also going to play the C an octave higher. So you're going to get an 8-foot flute and a 4-foot flute by only pressing this one key. Consequently, if you play a middle C with swell 16 on, it's going to play the C note one octave lower. Now if you play this note with swell 4 on, you're going to get middle C. This is where it gets a little complicated. Just think of it like this. If you turn on swell 16, it's always going to play a note one octave lower with the note that you're playing. Doesn't matter what note you play, it's going to play a note an octave lower. If you turn on swell 4, it's going to play an octave higher as well as the note you're playing. So if you turn on both swell 4 and swell 16, when you play middle C, you're going to get middle C, an octave higher and an octave lower all at the same time just by pressing one key. There are other couplers used in an organ called intermanual couplers. There are two manuals, like I showed you in the other videos. There's a swell manual, which is the top one, and a great manual, which is the bottom one. Some organs actually have more. They may have a choir manual and have 3 or 4 different keyboards, but mine only has 2. So basically, if you have on the swell manual, you have these 3 ranks turned on: Vox Humana 8, flute, and trumpet 4. When you play these keys on the swell manual, you'll get these different notes at the right pitch corresponding to the key that you play. Now, let's say also on the great manual you have 8-foot flute selected. When you play any note on the great manual, you're going to get the 8-foot flute. Now when you flick on the swell to great coupler, when you play a middle C on the great manual, it's going to play whatever you have turned on for that manual, which is flute 8, and it's also going to play everything on the swell manual that you have turned on as well. So you're going to get flute 8, trumpet 4, flute 8, which is redundant, and Vox Humana. You're going to have 3 different distinct sounds playing by only playing one key, because maybe the great manual doesn't have access to the Vox Humana. Maybe there's no tab. So you turn on the swell to great, and then you can have all these notes playing on the great manual. There are also couplers with numbers, like swell to great 4. That basically means when you press this key, you're going to play all the notes on the swell keyboard an octave higher. So you'll get a flute 8, you'll get a trumpet 4-foot an octave higher, which is actually trumpet 2-foot. You'll get a flute 4-foot, you'll get a Vox Humana 4-foot. All those 4 pitches with this one key getting pressed. There's also swell to great 16. So you'll get a flute 8, a trumpet 8, a flute 16, and a Vox Humana 16, all by playing this key. It makes the organ very versatile because you can set up stuff that you don't have available on either manual and be able to play them all on one manual. Or you can also set it up so that when you're playing on the swell manual, you only have these 3 tones selected, and then you just move your hands down to the great manual with the couplers on and make it a completely different sound without touching any tabs. It's additive because you'll be playing these notes as well as whatever's turned on the great manual when you play on the great manual and the couplers are on. It's a little bit complicated, but if anybody who understands music should grasp it relatively easily. So that's basically how couplers work. I might be taking a slight hiatus with more of this learning series now that the weather's getting good, but I do want to get back and describe more about the pipes, how they're made, the different tones they make, and stuff like that. So stay tuned. It just might be a little bit longer between the videos that I upload for the learning series, because I am going to be working on motors and stuff outdoors now that the weather's nice. So I hope you guys are enjoying the teachings and learning a little bit about some of my hobbies, and hopefully my knowledge will enlighten you guys. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.